Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I am your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host,
Aged
PaPa
Pacelli.
Aged Pacelli. You're feeling aged
I'm
today?
feeling aged. Yeah, I
What
really am.
happened, man?
No, it's nothing that's happened. Just we'll get into it a little bit more today. But as we do more in remembrances, I just feel like this is going to happen more and more as I get older, and I start to feel older.
What are you sipping on?
I am sipping on cherry Coke, just straight out of the can.
Not a
Yeah.
Red Ripple, huh?
No,
Ha ha ha! I'm kidding.
no.
Okay, never
How
mind.
about you?
No, what I got? Oh, no, I'm not just a water right now. I did have a tequila shot earlier, though.
Yes, because you had get together with some friends.
Yes, a friendsgiving, so that was nice. And I watched
Awesome.
some late 20th Century Fox animated movie called Spies in Disguise with Tom Holland and Will Smith. And I'm wondering,
I don't
that's a
even. I've
throwback
never
at this
even
point.
heard
It's
of
20th
that.
Century Fox and Will Smith in an animated movie.
Yeah, I
Where
don't even
his,
know that
where his
one.
go-to thing of his character is to punch the guys. I'm just saying. I don't know how well that's
There
gonna
you
hold
go.
up.
Oh, but at least he's got a closed fist, right? It's not an open-handed slap.
Yeah, I don't think there was slapping in it, but I could be wrong. And then he
Yeah.
gets turned into a pigeon. Anyway, um,
All righty.
good evening, gentlemen of the Geeky Persuasion, Aged Boomer and Troy Pacelli.
Yeah,
Whatever, nerds.
Yeah, nerds. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Okay, Troy, I'm
Gonna catch
catching
me
up
white and nerdy. Gonna catch me white and nerdy.
catch up to your stream from Friday. That was a good stream on Friday. Joker voice.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
He did make a point about the Affleck Batman. Whatever problems I did have with, people like to make fun of it because it's Ben Affleck, but if you think about it, in some ways he was one of
Yeah.
the better Batman. He just was not in maybe the best storyline, especially in.
Yeah, I had not in all of this time. It had never dawned on me that this
He's
is
the older Batman. He's supposed to be playing an older Batman.
the older Batman, but specifically the Batman right after Jason Todd dies.
Yes, that's who he's.
You know,
supposed to be
and
playing.
I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
If that's true, then I'm digging it. Yeah.
Maybe no, we'll see. We'll see what they have planned. Good evening, geezers. Have a great stream. So, what's Andy Dick done now?
Yeah, we'll get
That
to
is the
that.
stick, right? Yeah, he's in some trouble again. Supposedly, we'll get into that. He may be pulling an Ezra Miller. That's what it's sounding like to me.
Same kind of a crime too. Like it sounds like it's pretty kind of a petty crime,
Maybe
but
stop going into people's houses and taking their stuff. Just a thought. Just
well, if they'd answer their door when I come to borrow something, you know.
I borrowed it. Was the person at home?
I
No.
was borrowing it. I was gonna give it back. Well, okay, no, I guess Ezra Miller's not gonna give back the booze he drinks. I don't know. He might. I don't know what he's into.
He'll just puke it up. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
He'll
possibly.
just puke it up. Anyway,
Yeah, only his friends get to call him he in private.
I'm waiting for the pronoun to change one day and to yell at me for calling him they. Right? That'll be
Right.
What happens. Hit the link, share the stream, click the links, and sub to these wonderful. Thank you so much. Deleted scenes, the hardest working blue wrench on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got here? Matanui. Ezra Miller broke the law. Water is wet. Yes, I know.
Yeah,
Welcome, Letters
exactly.
Network, and I think I saw. Hold on, I'm being very bad
Rosefire?
tonight.
Zootopia.
Rosefire, yes. Where is Rosefire? I know I saw her in here. Sorry, I am.
If you scroll through, you see the little rose by her name.
Wear your nerd badge with confidence and integrity. You can't do that nowadays, man. Because let's be blunt, the people in charge of a lot of the properties are the same people that called you nerds. That's what it's feeling like these days.
That's true.
But yeah, shalom to you as well. Hello and good evening, everybody. How was the weekend? It ended well. Started out poorly, but it ended well. All is good. I won't get into that on here because everything's fine, though. Okay, I just had a bit of a scare, but the scare is gone now. Okay, but Stephen Ransom, I believe I saw you. Welcome, and yeah, we got some good stuff to talk about tonight. Not a ton of stories, but I think they're weighty enough to carry the 2 hours, so I think that'll work. Especially, unfortunately, the passings we've had this week.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But I think we could start out the stream talking about someone who is alive and well.
Yeah. And someone who has made us laugh. Let's face it, we need as much laughter as we can get these days.
Weird Al Yankovic.
Yep.
Now,
What's your?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, what's your background with the parodistic one?
Funny enough, I am very rooted in '80s Weird Al. Even though I know he's been going strong ever since.
Yeah.
In fact, even had a cameo on Batman: The Brave and the Bold when they did their Scooby-Doo when they did the Scooby-Doo episode. They did old school Scooby-Doo episode like from the Filmation '70s, and then you have to have a special guest in a Scooby-Doo episode,
right?
And they had Weird Al as the special guest.
That's funny.
Funny, yeah. So and it was his voice as well too, so that was neat.
That's
but yeah, it's Weird Al. I remember being a kid in the '80s. And he was on every so often. I think he popped on MTV once. He had like a show, and like maybe it was like a fake parody show, like a weekly Weird Al. Maybe they only made one episode, but like he was answering questions from fans, and he got a package, and he got this big ball of wax, and in the letter it says, "Hey, Weird Al, me and my friends collected all of our earwax and put it into a big ball." He goes,
It's interesting. I heard about that. I never actually saw it. It kind of harkens back to, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but a radio program that he used to do, and some of the humor and gags he used to do there.
Really? They should put that in a collection, even if it's only like on iTunes or something. But I remember though. My first. I'm trying to remember where I first saw Weird Al. It might have been on a special, which was the Complete Al, which was on Showtime, which was like kind of a fake mockumentary about his whole life.
Yeah,
which is kind of funny because now they're doing a fake.
Because now they've done another one. Yeah,
now it's a movie adaptation, and of course I know that it's meant to be mocking.
Right.
The
whole biopic concept.
The whole biopic of stars, like we had the Elvis one this past year, so they always have these come out. So I'm sure that's why they cast Daniel Radcliffe, because Al could have probably just played himself, but that's not how you do these things. You have to have another actor playing.
Right.
So, but yeah, the Complete Al, and it was neat because they would show the music videos in it, but they would also do they would also have like they had an interview with his parents about Al. I don't know why we paid for him to go to college just so he could write these stupid songs. And it's like, where do we go wrong? And like they're all ashamed of their son. And it's like,
yeah.
But let me see here though. I think though my first exposure to Al might have been on his album Weird Al Yankovic in 3D, which we had on a audio cassette in our house.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a really cool cover with him kind of coming out of the TV. And I remember I had probably when I first got myself a tape deck or a Walkman or knockoff Walkman. I don't think I could afford an actual Walkman back then, I remember listening to this on a road trip once and thinking that these songs were pretty cool. And of course, these are parody songs.
Yes.
And I do remember though that there was some. I remember some of the key songs on here. One was "Nature Trail to Hell," which actually I think was a riff on all of the slasher movies that were popular at the time.
Sure.
So it wasn't really a riff on a particular song, I think. I think it was an original song, but there was other stuff on the album. But
that 3D was actually his second album.
Okay, so yeah. So you may know more history about the first album.
Well, you know how I am. I dig into history. I like to get it right. So just as there are, parody biopics of him, I'm going to do my best to get the history right. And so we got to go back to 1966 when a 7-year-old Alfred Matthew Yankovic's mother bought him an accordion from a door-to-door salesman. I kid you not. Yes. In 3 years, he was playing top 20 hits and writing parodies of them. At 13, Al discovered Dr. Demento. He wrote a funny little song called Belvedere Cruisin', and he sent the demo to Demento in early 1975. Now, I had never heard this song before I started doing my research. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a link for you all so you guys can check out that first song that he did. Thereafter, he sent in songs on a regular basis to Demento. Al graduated high school at 16 as valedictorian and enrolled in Cal Poly for architecture at the urging of his parents, who didn't see music as a fiscally responsible career plan. Shy and enigmatic, he earned the name Weird Al from his friends in college. he started playing the accordion at coffee shops, setting the periodic table to a polka. In 1977, he became a DJ for Cal Poly's radio KCPR. I'm assuming that's Cal Poly Radio. 9 to midnight every Saturday night. It was the most popular show on the station, and it was during this time that he recorded My Bologna, a parody of the Knack's My Sharona. He sent a copy of the song to Doug Fiegler of the Knack, who liked it so much he encouraged Capitol Records to sign Al. But since My Bologna only sold about 10,000 copies, they dropped him after 6 months.
Oh.
Yeah. It's one of those if they'd only known, right? After running afoul of new management at KCPR, he quit. He started visiting Dr. Demento regularly, and while he was there, he wrote Another One Rides the Bus, parodying Queen's Another One Bites the Dust. The studio was flooded with requests to interview Al. Tom Snyder's Tomorrow TV show featured Al as he performed Another One Rides the Bus live. In 1982, Al opened for Missing Persons. It did not go well. He was booed and they threw bottles. But he played the whole set just out of spite.
Huh.
And as far as I can tell, all this is true. Al recorded I Love Rocky Road, a parody of Joan Jett's I Love Rock and Roll, after asking the songwriter Jake Hooker for permission. Jake managed Rick Derringer of the McCoys' Hang On Sloopy fame and said he might want to work with Al, but Rick encouraged Al to record a full album. The result was the 1983 self-titled album, including all the aforementioned songs, some original songs, plus a parody of Stop Dragging My Car Around, a parody of Stevie Nicks and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers song Stop Dragging My Heart Around, and a parody of Mickey by Tony Basil called Ricky.
And this was my we were kind of doing the thing where I pick a couple of videos, Troy picks a couple of videos, and I remember Ricky. This was actually shown on that fake mockumentary, and I loved this music video. I mean, it's not just it's not just a parody of Mickey, but it's also a love letter to Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz.
Yeah,
this is definitely a love letter to I Love Lucy. And it's funny because you have a Weird Al in the role of Ricky Ricardo in this, and
clean shaven.
Clean shaven. No, he looked good. His hair was all slicked back. He looked suave. I have to give him points. But and I'm telling you, this man is a great physical comedian. I mean, he knows how to make himself look the parts. But he was dueling with voice actress Tress MacNeille, I believe that was her name in the thing.
Okay.
And she's great on the video too. And there's all these little things like he's complaining about, Fred eating all the pretzels and spilling his beer, and he's tired of having Fred and Ethel over here, and it's all the complaining like a couple would, but they really love each other at the end, like the little ticks and whatnot. But it's a lot of fun. It really is a love letter to I Love Lucy and a lot of those 50s sitcoms that were classics at the time, because I remember I was watching them as well on like Nickelodeon and even Disney Channel had some of those. And it was just a great fun video. And it's, Weird Al can't help but put a smile on your face. He's just playing. He's just pure fun. And people who were throwing stuff at him, they just didn't get the joke, or they weren't in the mood.
Exactly.
But the fact that he is so odd and so weird, and
agreed.
I don't know. Maybe it's like a Three Stooges thing. Like some people love the Three Stooges, some people hate them.
Probably.
Might be that sort of thing. But I am a big fan of the music video, shot in black and white, and you can catch it on YouTube.
Right,
all of his videos are on
YouTube. I dropped the link.
And it was according to Wikipedia, it was Yankovic's. The music video was created for the song, and this was Yankovic's first music video.
There you go.
To the liner notes in the compilation DVD, Weird Al Yankovic: The Ultimate Collection, was arguably the first comedy video ever shown on MTV. Isn't that interesting?
There you go.
So
he definitely set the genre. Let's be honest about it.
Definitely.
But the album was passed by all major record labels until Ted. Wait a minute, am I on the right one? Yeah, we just talked about Ricky. Ted Dowd of Rock and Roll Records signed him. Ricky wasn't a hit, but the album did well enough to merit a second in 3D, which included King of Suede, a parody of the Police's King of Pain, The Rye or the Kaiser, a parody of Survivor's Eye of the Tiger, and a parody of Greg Kinn's band's Our Love's in Jeopardy, which was called I Lost on Jeopardy.
Yes, and this is another music video of his I was very familiar with. This is, of course, Weird Al Yankovic getting to guest star in Jeopardy. No Alex Trebek, oddly enough, but he got the format down to a T about how someone might be stressed on the TV show Jeopardy. Like he's going up against a plumber and an architect, and he goes about the song and about how, you know, it's the Daily Double now, and like his head's starting to spin, and he's freaking out. And what's cool about it is like the chorus in the video, it's all like the workers in the studio, like the behind the scenes guys, and they're all doing the ooh and the ahs and stuff. And that one's a lot of fun too. And I love the announcer in it, who's the announcer's name? But oh well. On the top of my hand, but I remember the announcer calls him a complete loser, says you don't even get a copy of our home game. You didn't win the complete supply of rice-a-roni, a San Francisco treat, and it's brilliant. And it's actually the video featured a cameo appearance by the original Jeopardy host, Art Fleming, so that must have been before
before Alex Trebek, yeah.
And,
yeah, people forget how far back that goes. And then the rice-a-roni reference is a bit dated, too.
Apparently, Dr. Demento also made a cameo in that video.
Well, he should have. He was instrumental in Al's early career, yeah.
And there is a cameo by Greg Kinn at the end when he gets thrown out of the Just Married vehicle, and I think he turned the parody song of turns around and winks at the audience with Weird Al back car, right? I mean, it's just great fun. And and the announcer's name was Don Pardo.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So brilliant little video, a lot of fun, and I'm a life cartoon character. That's how I would describe Weird Al.
Yeah. But the biggest hit of all was a parody of Michael Jackson's Beat It called Eat It. While Al was under no legal obligation to obtain permission to parody songs, he faithfully did, and he didn't expect Michael Jackson to agree. He was the biggest pop star of all time, arguably. But Michael Jackson loved the idea and enthusiastically agreed, even allowing Al to use the sets from the video. Al even hired many of the same dancers. Beat It was such a huge hit, it dragged Eat It along and launched it to number 12 on the top 100, making Weird Al a celebrity overnight. By the time Weird Al released his third album, Dare to Be Stupid, in 1985, not only was he successful and famous, he knew the formula: do parodies of chart toppers. But it wasn't just the parodies that were beloved. The album's namesake song, Dare to Be Stupid, was not a parody of any specific song, but more of a pastiche of the general style of the band Devo.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was deciding on my music videos a couple weeks ago, I'm like, what are my three? What are my three going to be? And of course, I remember we had the record Dare to Be Stupid. We had the vinyl of it. I wish I still had that vinyl.
Nice.
What was neat about it, though, it was a cool vinyl record, and I remember listening to that faithfully like I did the prior album, Weird Al Yankovic in 3D. Mm-hmm. And I remember listening to Dare to Be Stupid, and even as a kid, you never know, did I hear the Weird Al parody first, or did I hear the original song first? Because sometimes you weren't sure when you were little.
Right.
But Dare to Be Stupid I didn't recognize, and I just assumed that was original song. But, of course, I got exposure to Devo later on. And then when I was rewatching his video, I'm like, this is a Devo song. This has all the, as you said, the tropes of a Devo song.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Devo ever had any comments on Dare to Be Stupid, but it really was done the sound. Part of me almost wondered if Weird Al had employed members of Devo to do cameos in the video. I don't know if they did, but it's a wonderful song where he's taking all of these catchphrases, I guess, and colloquialisms like be sure to count your chickens before they hatch, or look a gift horse in the mouth, and then it's just some stupid things like eat a bunch of sushi and don't leave a tip. It's just a bunch of random stuff about being stupid. And in fact, I think Dare to Be Stupid is Weird Al's moniker. Dare to Be Stupid. But the music video, you have to watch this music video. It does have Weird Al sounding like, and this band sounding a lot like Devo, wearing the outfits. And I think it's a song Devo might have even wrote. I could imagine them writing this themselves. Because
if you get real granular with it and go through it line by line, and even watch the video very closely, there's lots of references to different Devo songs. Yeah.
And because Devo, of course, has a good sense of humor too, but
right, yeah,
I really do love that video. There's a lot going on, a lot of weirdness. You have the weird guys crushing the toilet paper in their hands. You have the cowboy. You have, I think, Romans playing either chess or maybe it was checkers, and then there's a dinosaur in the background because that's stupid. Why would there be a dinosaur around Romans? That's because it's dumb. That's why we're going to have that in the music video, the entire music video. I think they do the upside down face where the chin is talking and their eyes drawn on top of the chin. Talking. It's like I kept thinking I haven't watched the Orville, but I always thought Seth MacFarlane should do that. Have an alien race that looks like the chin mouth, talking, but it's an actual alien race that looks just like that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Lot very fun video. I do remember having that album, and it's funny. I have gotten the I did get the Weird Al collection, like a greatest hits 4-disc set, but I don't know. Someday I might track down those individual albums too, because even though the 4-disc set is pretty comprehensive, it doesn't have everything on there, and I may just want to get those two albums just because I do remember those growing up. But a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was definitely my favorite album, and the songs I'm going to be talking about are from this album too. So in 1985, another up-and-coming artist was becoming a household name in her own right. Madonna had a number of chart toppers before taking the #1 spot with Like a Virgin. The song got a lot of attention even before being released because of her provocative performance of it on the first MTV Music Video Awards in September of 1984. It was sex-charged and a defining moment of the 80s, and it turned Madonna into an icon. So it seems like the perfect target for Weird Al, but it wasn't even on his radar. That is until Madonna herself said to a friend of hers one day, "Hey, I wonder when Weird Al will do a parody of Like a Virgin, calling it Like a Surgeon." Well, that friend happened to know Al's manager, Jay Levy, who passed it on to Al, and he liked the idea. Like a Surgeon, also on the Dare to Be Stupid album, was released in 1986 as a single, and I just realized I never hit enter to share the link with everyone so they can check it out.
Okay.
Another great song off of this album, and I won't wait, I'll go ahead and hit enter, off the Dare to Be Stupid album was Yoda, a parody of Lola by the Kinks. Now, like you were saying, which did you hear first? I encountered this parody before ever hearing the song Lola. Yep. So it was a bit of culture shock when I finally heard the Kinks song on a classic rock station telling the story of a gender dysphoria in a world where girls will be boys and boys will be girls, long before trans rights and pronouns were at the front of and center of culture wars. But just like with so many of Weird Al's parodies, you don't have to be familiar with the original song to find it funny and entertaining. Yoda does a great job of summing up Luke's Empire Strikes Back story while foreshadowing the forthcoming of Jake Skywalker as the Luke in the song bemoans, "I'll be playing this role till I'm old and gray. The long-term contract I had to sign says I'll be making these movies till the end of time with my Yoda."
Oh, that's a little scary, actually.
Yes. And
Missing.
that video that I just dropped of Yoda, of all of them, it's not an official Weird Al video. This one is a fan made one, which stitches together images from and footage from Empire Strikes Back with, and that's why I did the Jake Skywalker taking back the hood. You know, I'll be playing this Road Time Old and Gray. Yeah.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah. So definitely check it out if you. And I'll be honest with you, if you're younger and these songs that are being parodied you don't recognize. See, Zootopia knows the Rye or the Kaiser. If you don't know the song that's being parodied, that's fine. You'll still probably enjoy the song, but then maybe go and seek out the original song, you know, on YouTube, and hear some good 80s hits, you know.
Yeah, and it's neat because it will give you. Oddly enough, he probably was exposing people to music, even if you didn't hear the original song, because then you might seek out the original song or at least hear it, and then the tune clicks, and they're like, "Oh, but that's what Weird Al parodied," and then you listen to the original. Yeah. And I give a lot of kudos to a lot of the artists that gave permission to use their works, that they had a good sense of humor about it, and. Yeah.
There's a lot of stories that I left off, but he always sought out permission from the artist, right? Yeah. Whether it was the writer of the song or the performer that, you know, popularized it. He did get there were a lot of circumstances where the record labels or the managers would say no. And it oftentimes caused problems as he would try to pull it from the album. There was one, and I can't remember which band it was. He had all the rights to do it, or, you know, all the go-ahead. They were ready to do it. They had it in the liner notes and stuff. And the very last minute, the manager contacted and said, "No, we don't want to do this." And he said, "Okay," and he pulled it out, but it still was. They were still thanked on the record. Well, years later, the band members were like, "That. We didn't even know about that. We're really disappointed that didn't happen." And in a lot of cases, what he'll do is he'll go ahead and release those songs for free on the internet, because his thought is, you know, I don't care what some suits say. You know, I had the permission of the artist, and if they're okay with it, you know, I'm going with it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad those songs got released. That would be an interesting album, like the Lost Hits of Weird Al, if he ever did that.
Interestingly, someone who didn't want him doing parodies of him was Prince, and Prince was one who was real big on releasing songs that, for whatever reason, couldn't be released because of, you know, bureaucratic crap from the record labels. So that's where the Black Album comes from.
Right. I'm surprised Prince didn't. Oh, well, I mean, I don't know what the story is.
Well, there's a lot of great stories about, for example, we were, and I'm sure in the future we'll talk about like Fat and, you know, other things that he did. He was really close with Michael Jackson really loved, but there was one song that Michael Jackson said he didn't want him to do, and that was to parody was Black or White. And
okay.
And it was just Michael's conviction that it was a message song for him, and he didn't want it watered down by parody. And he was like, "Okay, that's cool. I totally get that." Same thing with he had asked Paul McCartney if he could do a parody of a Wings song, a parody of the song "Live and Let Die," and Paul McCartney said no, only because the parody was going to be chicken pot pie, and he's a vegan, and he didn't want a song about, you know, his song being parodied into something about eating animal flesh. So he's like, and he made suggestions. Well, you could do this with it or that with it. He goes, no. He goes, I you know, it wouldn't work the same. I'd rather not do it. Ironically, Weird Al was a vegetarian too, so
oh,
go figure.
Yeah. Hey, you know, that's interesting.
So obviously, this is another one of those good old days that I love doing this. I love doing this research and putting this kind of stuff together. So thanks.
I'm definitely gonna try to clip this one just so we have it. Because But no, this was fun. Maybe someday we'll do 90s Weird Al. Like we are next step. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I figure. We'll progress on from go to his fourth and fifth album. Yeah, go from there.
It truly takes a talented person to make such funny parodies.
Weird Al has a parody of Prince's 1999 that was $19.99.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look into that. Funny. I know that by and large that might be one of those ones where he just released it. Was it on an actual album? I don't know. But there you go. Yeah, we'll get back to more Weird Al as we go forward, and chances are we might do some other 80s and 90s and even late 70s videos. They do exist.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
We can talk about that.
Truly takes a talented person to make such funny parodies, good humor that pay tribute to the original songs. Yes, Dare to Be Stupid was used in the Transformers animated film. Yes, I actually got Daniel Heron for Christmas the Transformers soundtrack.
There is a fictionalized version of how he came to do Like a Virgin on How I Met Your Mother. The story is that Ted Mosby, the main character, sent him suggestions, and Weird Al was bemoaning, it's the bane of my existence. People constantly sending me their ideas, but this one stuck, and he was like, "Oh, I got to record this one." Obviously, that's not how it went, but it was funny nonetheless. But yeah, it's true. He doesn't like getting suggestions because it's like, no. I would never even think to make a suggestion to Weird Al because the man's a genius. I can think of songs that would make for good parodies, but I can't think of those parodies. That's,
exactly.
That takes genius,
And we'll get into his Nirvana parody another time. That was a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aged Boomer is 25 subs away from 200. Spread the word and get him over the top before the end of the show. Oh, that would be great if any of you could do that. But
absolutely.
Like I said, I will try to clip this video. Maybe we can get that passed around too. It's been a heck of a week though. But yeah, Weird Al's vegan too. Yeah, yes,
yeah.
Bush McMahon. Welcome to the chat, by the way.
I didn't know he was vegan. I knew he was vegetarian, but either way, yeah, that does make it humorous. And I love the fact that he knows he could go and do a song. There's also one. Who was the Gangster's Paradise guy? Was that Coolio?
Yeah, I know that story.
There was a little bit of back and forth about that one too, but they resolved it. That was another one of those ones where the suits talked Coolio into pulling back on it, and Weird Al's like, too late. He'd already gone to press with it,
I know.
and after the fact, Coolio's like, I'm sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. If Michael Jackson was okay with it, I don't know what my problem was.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's cool,
It's fine. Yeah, I mean, they got it sorted out. That's good.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
But anyway,
in remembrance.
Okay. Yeah, we talked a little bit about this, a good deal about this on Friday, but let's get into it again.
You gonna paste it, or we want me
I am.
Okay, all right.
It's just a little bit of a lag.
It's fine. This is, of course, I'm sure you're not for. I hope you're if you are first hearing this here, I am sorry. Iconic Batman voice actor Kevin Conroy passes away at 66 following a brief battle with cancer. Yikes. He probably didn't have a lot of time either when he got the diagnosis. This is very sad news. And a significant, heartbreaking loss for his family, friends, fans, and ultimately the overall realm of comic books. Iconic Batman voice actor Kevin Conroy has passed away at age 66 following a reportedly short battle with cancer. News of Conroy's passing was first made public on November 11th, courtesy of his fellow Batman the Animated Series voice actor Diane Pershing. Taking to her Facebook page, the voice of Poison Ivy announced to her followers, very sad news. Our beloved voice of Batman, Kevin Conroy, died yesterday. He's been ill for a while, but he really put in a lot of time at the cons to the joy of all his fans, she added, sharing various photos featuring Conroy, Robin voice actor Loren Lester, Batgirl voice actor Tara Strong, and herself. He will be sorely missed, not just by the cast of the series, but by his legion of fans all over the world. Pershing included. Rest in peace, friend. Understandably, Pershing's post was met with mixture of both sadness and disbelief, with many hesitant to believe the news without any supporting confirmation from any official source. Sadly, Conroy's passing would ultimately be verified by DC themselves, who later that same day issued a statement confirming that the actor died Thursday at age 66 after a short battle with cancer. Offering his condolences in the same statement, the iconic Joker to Conroy's Batman, Mark Hamill, declared, "Kevin was perfection. He was one of my favorite people on the planet, and I loved him like a brother. He truly cared for the people around him. His decency shone through everything he did." The actor added, "Every time I saw him or spoke with him, my spirits were elevated." Kevin was a brilliant actor, Hamill continued. For several generations, he has been the definitive Batman. He was one of those perfect scenarios where they got the exact right guy for the exact right part, and the world was better for it. His rhythms and subtleties, tones, and delivery that also helped him inform his performance. The animated clown Prince of Crime said he was an ideal partner. It was such a complimentary, creative experience. I couldn't have done it without him. He will always be my Batman. Likewise, Batman the Animated Series producer Paul Dini praised how Kevin brought a light with him everywhere, whether in the recording booth, giving it his all, or feeding first responders during 9/11, or making sure every fan who ever waited for him had a moment with their Batman. A hero in every sense of the word, he described Conroy, irreplaceable, eternal. Andrea Romano, the renowned Emmy-winning voice casting director who originally cast Conroy in his career-defining role as the Cape Crusader, recalled how Kevin was far more than an actor whom I had the pleasure of casting and directing. He was a dear friend for 30-plus years whose kindness and generous spirit knew no boundaries. Kevin's warm heart, delightfully deep laugh, and pure love of life will be with me forever, she said. This is very sad news. I'm a huge fan of Batman the Animated Series. I would argue, perhaps in some ways, Batman the Animated Series is responsible for me even being interested in the superhero genre to begin with. I mean, of course, I knew the old Superman movies from the 70s, and I liked the Batman movie when it came out, the 89, but really Batman the Animated Series, because I like animation as a medium in general, and we had never had an animated cartoon quite like Batman the Animated Series until it came on. I believe it was in 90. I think it was 92. Yeah, it was 92. I think the fall of 92 is when it premiered.
It was definitely after Batman Batman Returns.
Batman Returns, yeah. It was the follow-up. It followed in the fall. I loved this series. I was a little unsure at first because the first episode they premiered was on Saturday morning. It was The Cat and the Claw Part 1, which had the first introduction to Catwoman, and kind of the villain wasn't all that interesting, even though she was voiced by Kate Mulgrew. The villain was in that episode. And who was it? John Carpenter's ex-wife, Adrienne Barbeau. I think she voiced Catwoman on that series. And then the following
I can
Sunday,
see that, yeah.
Yeah, the following Sunday we got the Man-Bat episode. I think on Leather Wings, I think it was called. First with the Man-Bat, and this was better. I was okay, that's kind of interesting. Monday we got Heart of Ice, the first Mr. Freeze episode, and I'm like, okay, I'm now at that point I was cemented into the series. At that point, I'm like, okay, I'm watching this, and I tried to faithfully watch every episode as it came on, day after day. Yeah, I would argue that it's one of the great television shows. Period. I would rank it up there with like the original Star Trek and other shows like that. And it's interesting they mentioned 9/11, how he was giving out food to the first responders of September 11th, because I remember that fall Justice League premiered, and that show in a lot of ways was a great comfort after that horrible time in that fall, that we got a Justice League series premiere, and you got to see all of your superheroes again. And Kevin Conroy was, of course, reprising his voice as Batman in that pilot, and I'm gonna miss him. He died too soon, as far as I'm concerned, and I didn't know if they were planning any more continuations with his iconic Batman. I doubt they will now, but he will be missed, and that's all I have to say. He's great Batman. Knew how to do the tonal shifts. You were mentioning on Friday about the old Superman radio series, about how in order to show the difference between Clark Kent and Superman was the voice tonal shifts. And I remember watching a preview thing HBO did for Batman Mask of the Phantasm, the theatrical movie they did based on Batman the Animated Series, and he was talking about how how he does Batman is way different than how he does Bruce Wayne, voice-wise.
Yeah.
Batman is more deeper, Bruce Wayne more lighter, you know what I mean? He was really talented voice actor, and he was a regular actor as well. He starred on the stage a lot as well, a lot of Shakespeare plays, but he probably will be most remembered for Batman the Animated Series. He will be missed, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know how familiar you were with Kevin Conroy, but
really, yeah, just from Batman the Animated Series, I didn't know much about him outside of that. And of course, I did check out his homage to Kingdom Come when he played the live action version of an older Bruce Wayne in the CW abomination of Crisis on Infinite Earths. He did great, but that was not the best portrayal as far as writing goes for Batman. It's unfortunate, but I'm glad that at least in some way he got to play a live action Batman.
Yeah, in that one that was on the on the CW. Yeah, but at least we got to see him in the flesh, I guess. Yeah, but
wow.
Robin's Reckoning, Grossfire, Robin's Reckoning got me teary-eyed, especially when Dick Grayson asks Bruce, does the pain ever go away? And he says no. I think he says no, it doesn't. I think it gets easier to deal. I forgot even what he said, but he said no. We basically told him no. My favorite part of Robin's Reckoning was part 2. Who killed Robin's parents? Was it Tony Zuko? Was that his name?
I think so, yeah.
I believe on the show, and it was on the show too. And I think Batman, I don't know if he's been tracking him, and he's been keeping Robin in the dark in this whole 2-part episode. First, you see the flashbacks to when he adopted Robin and how his parents died, and now he's going after Tony Zuko, and he's angry at Batman. He's like, "Zuko's mine. What are you doing?" And he's saying, and then by the end of the episode, it's I think he helps Batman stop him, and he gets arrested. And he's like, "Why? Why did you stop me? Why did you stop me? You were afraid that I'd kill him, weren't you? That I'd get revenge?" And he says, "No, that's not why. Zuko's already taken so much from you. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if while you were going after him, he also killed you too." That's what he said. And it's a nice, compassionate side of Batman that he would show up on the show, because of course Batman's the tough superhero, right? But
and it really does underscore and remind people why Robin is important to Batman.
Yeah,
as a character, not just to Bruce Wayne, but and that's something that I was kind of reminded of by Joker Voice in my show on Friday. Kind of slight redeeming of the Batfleck for me when that was pointed out to me. So, good.
There
good
was
writing.
There was another episode where Commissioner Gordon gets shot, and Batman's visiting him in the hospital, and like Commissioner Gordon, he's kind of in critical condition. He's telling Batman, if I was a younger man, maybe I could have been like you, and I could have been a hero. And he says, "You are a hero, Jim."
Yeah.
And it was one of those. It was another touching moment. He'd have those on the series sometimes.
I think that one of the great things, and this is the kind of thing that's easy to overlook, and I don't think people are mentioning it a lot about Kevin Conroy. I'm going to compare Kevin Conroy to Adam West. They both played Batman, but they also got what the show was about. Yeah. And respected that iteration of the character.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the Adam West Batman, kids loved that incarnation too. They used to write him letters, wrote letters to the studio. And granted, I was in high school at the time when Batman the Animated Series came on, but I'm sure for kids too, that he became their Batman as well.
Sure.
And I did want to mention one other episode of the show. This was one that gets attacked a lot because it's the villain in it is the Sewer King. The funny thing about Batman the Animated Series is that it had a lot of great episodes, but then it would have a few turkeys in there. Right?
Yeah.
But I don't hate this episode like everybody else. But there's this villain called the Sewer King who I think is based off that character from Oliver Twist. That has all the the orphans working for him, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think Fagin was in Oliver Twist, but he's inspired by that. And at the end of the episode, Batman takes the Sewer King, and he looks like he's about to. He says, "I don't," and he's right up against a moving subway car, and he's holding him like he could almost throw him into. He says, "I don't pass judgment. I leave that to the courts. But this time, I am sorely tempted to do the job myself." And then he throws him on the ground. And people wondered, well, why is Batman so angry at the Sewer King or whatever, like versus even some of the other villains? And I realized the Sewer King was abusing orphans.
Yep.
And Bruce Wayne's an orphan, and that's
Absolutely.
that's what set him off.
Absolutely.
So
that was actually a recurring, and it's not just orphans. I mean, it's children in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially the most vulnerable of children, and that came up over and over again. So, I think it was Bush was saying something about, it being a dark and serious show, and it absolutely was, but it did it in the right way, where Batman was still a hero. You don't have to be an anti-hero to be dark and gritty. You could be dark and gritty and still have the Batman shown as that light in the darkness.
Yeah, and Batman can be strict, but he's also a wise father figure to Robin's surrogate sons he raised, staying on the path of righteousness, not following directly in his footsteps. Yeah, and of course we find out in the second series, even Dick Grayson getting to blows almost. Yeah. But have a great show going live on another channel night. Good luck on your other stream, Stephen.
Take care, Stephen Ransom. Thanks so much for being here. You can always catch up. Remember, you can always play us at chipmunk speed and catch up real quick with us that way.
Even the bad Batman episodes have some good moments in them, at least compared to some. At least have some more intellectual value compared to stuff today. Well,
yeah, that's true.
There are bright spots here and there, and that's what we try to bring up on the stream. But there was that episode that was an homage to the Island of Dr. Moreau. Yes, I remember that. They would do things on that in Superman and Justice League. You'd have little homages to like classic works too. Like I tell you, the pilot for Justice League is basically War of the Worlds. Yeah, and you get to see how Superman would have fared against the tripods.
Right.
Butt handed to him by one of the tripods in that pilot. Of course, this is why we need all the superheroes and not just Superman. But
true.
All right, but Mr. Freeze was such a great character. He was, in fact, a lot of the characters on that show. I mean, this is almost turning into a good old days in and of itself. But,
right.
A lot of them reminded me of when I grew up. I used to grow up with the old Universal horror movies, and a lot of Batman villains had that tragic backstory that maybe they wouldn't have been villains if it had gone another day. Except for the Joker on Batman the animated series, he kind of always was bad. They didn't go with that whole Alan Moore storyline, which of course may be suspect anyway, because that's just maybe the Joker's point of view. And
I gotta say too, speaking of this being like a good old days, I kind of feel like this is very much in the spirit of how an In Remembrance ought to be, right? And I think that all this stuff that we've said about Batman, I think Kevin Conroy would be pretty proud of his body of work in that regard.
He'll be remembered for decades, maybe even hundreds of years from now. People will still be watching Batman the animated series. You never know. Yeah, I often wonder what works that we love today are going to survive like centuries from now.
It depends. As long as you own physical media, you can keep it.
Well, that's true. But I mean, what will people, provided physical media is, you know what? I'm going to have, this is a conversation for another stream.
There you go.
But I am going to say one last thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
The Batman villains, some of them had sympathetic origins, like maybe they were just people that had a very bad day and bad circumstances, and that's how they became the villain. Whereas Superman villains, they were usually bad people to begin with on Superman the animated series before they got their powers.
Yeah,
which I thought was an interesting contrast versus the ones on Batman. All right, another sad death this week.
That
makes us laugh like Weird Al, and
I will do the transition so you don't have to. Okay. Watermelons all across the country can breathe a sigh of relief, while the rest of us have a little less laughter. Gallagher, comedian known for smashing watermelons, dies at 76.
Really sad. It's funny because he did comedy shows in Florida too, even in my areas years back. I remember that. And it's really sad. I mean, of course, he was more than just the guy that smashed the watermelons, too, obviously. Because I remember seeing him on a show called. Do you remember the Gong Show from the 70s?
Yep,
did he show up
absolutely,
on that?
I do.
Yes.
He might have done. I don't recall specifically, but
no, maybe
sure.
It wasn't the Gong Show. No, he showed up on Make Me Laugh. Have you ever heard of this of the game show Make Me Laugh?
Yes, I do.
I think I caught it on TV Land or something once. I was watching it. It was hilarious. It was a 70s TV show, and the idea was you would have comics come out. You would have these comedians come out, and they would have to... the idea is if you laugh, then you lose.
Right.
You have to not laugh at what the comedian is doing right in front of your face. Gallagher was one of these comedians. I remember that. And he came out and he had like a puppet face on the back of his head. And he says, will we make this person laugh? And he hears that, and yes! And like the thing would come down and I would burst out laughing. And I don't know how some of these contestants survived that show.
I remember that show specifically because when I was in theater at one of our cast parties, we were playing that. I mean, you know, we would try to make each other laugh in a semi-formalized way. And I remember Tony Melenda was the one who was trying to get me to laugh, and I was doing a great job. I was keeping it straight, keeping it together. And he was working like prop gags, right? So he had a doll with the what do you call it? The yarn hair. And he takes, and it happened to be a blonde doll. He takes the hair of the doll, puts it under his arm and goes, "Look, I'm Madonna." And I just lost it. And he goes, "I know you've seen Playboy."
Oh, that's so wrong.
Which of course got everyone else laughing too.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, prop comics get me too. It's just,
yeah.
But I am sad that Gallagher's. I'll read a little bit from the thing. Gallagher, the inventive prop comedian known for smashing watermelons as part of his act, died Friday of organ failure. His former manager, Craig Marcardo, confirmed to Variety he was 76. Gallagher had been in hospice care in California after suffering multiple heart attacks in recent years. Born Leo Anthony Gallagher Jr., the mononymous comedian became a household name in 1980 with An Uncensored Evening, the first stand-up comedy special ever to air on Showtime. Yep. Gallagher would go on to create 12 more hour-long specials for the network, as well as several popular programs for HBO. Gallagher's signature bit involved a handmade sledgehammer he called the Sledge-O-Matic, which he would use to smash food on stage and spray it onto the audience. His hammer trademark victim was the watermelon. Gallagher also became famous for his witty wordplay and sharp observational comedy. While his contemporaries went on to host talk shows or star in sitcoms and movies, Gallagher remained on the road in America for nearly 4 decades, touring steadily up until the pandemic and playing over 3,500 live shows throughout his career. In later years, Gallagher led a long-running Geico commercial and appeared in his first movie, The Book of Daniel. In 2019, he embarked on a farewell tour dubbed The Last Smash. In the early 1980s, Gallagher gave his brother, Ron Gallagher, permission to do shows dramatic routine on the contingency that promotional materials would clearly state that it was Ron, not Leo, who was performing. After several years, Ron started marketing his act as Gallagher 2 or Gallagher 2, and in some instances, it was not made clear that he was not, in fact, the original Gallagher. Leo requested that Ron also stop performing the subdramatic sketch, but his brother continued to do the routine. In 2000, Leo sued his brother for trademark violations and false advertising, and the courts issues an injunction preventing Ron from performing the act impersonating Leo, as well as intentionally bearing likeness to him. Okay, yikes.
Wow, that's too bad. Yeah.
Well, anyways.
I did actually get to see him live. I was very young at the time, but I did. And I wasn't really that close, so, because they always had, like, the front row, always had to hold up plastic. And
they warn you, too, probably,
Sometimes they would wear, like, ponchos and stuff. I wasn't really that close, so it wasn't, a big deal. But, yeah, he's a great performer.
Yeah, in a statement provided Variety, Marcardo wrote of his former client, while Gallagher had his detractors, he was an undeniable talent and an American success story. Yeah, I'm shocked that he's gone. I'm telling you. He had a great sense of humor aside from the watermelon special. Yeah, like I said, when I think I saw him on Make Me Laugh, he wasn't doing the watermelon bit, or at least he did in some of the episodes I saw.
And you should be able to find those Showtime specials fairly easily.
I'm sure they're online, yeah, even if they're just on YouTube. It's funny, it wasn't a Gallagher special, but I remember I used to buy Pop-Tarts, right? And it was send in so many UPC symbols and get a free Pop-Tarts comedy video, and it was a stand-up video. Mm-hmm. Had like Paula Poundstone on it and some other comedians. And what was funny about it was what was funny about it is that when you're a kid, you don't have any money. So if they offer you something free,
you go
with
for
UPC symbols. Yeah. I get a box of Pop-Tarts? And then like a month or 6 weeks later, you have enough UPCs, and then you can
Right.
send in for your free comedy video, which I would watch a few times. But
Yeah, I used to get an action figure a year that way.
you
Saving
did.
up those. Oh yeah, you save the proof of purchase from, you know. In fact, check out my video and see how you could save up proof of purchase to get an Akmina figure back in '74.
That's a
maybe.
funny video, and that's accurate too. I remember getting those free action figures. I did. I got I think the Emperor was one for the Jedi figures, wasn't he?
The Emperor was. That's right.
I
In fact,
remember
there are a lot of figures that I never got on card because I had already gotten them for free. Forlom was another one, although, you know, it was Zuckus.
They didn't come in boxes, did they? In like the boxes, they came just by themselves.
They came in a white mailer box. The first one, of course, being, although, you know, I did the parody with Akmina, but that was a direct parody of the commercial for Boba Fett. That was the first one.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh yeah, from Empire, or was that from original Star Wars?
It was just before Empire. It was like that was honestly, I could do a whole video about this is why Boba Fett is so popular today. It started out with he was shown first in the cartoon during the holiday special, which we will be rewatching on my channel on Friday. It was at that point that they made the announcement that there was going to be this mail away for a preview figure is how they referred to it, who would be a villain in the upcoming Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. So we didn't know who he was or anything about him, but we knew that he was going to be, we could get him for free. We didn't have to wait to see Empire Strikes Back, and he was going to have a rocket firing backpack. But the problem was, you know, some of the toys, including the Shogun Warriors and specifically the Battlestar Galactica toys, had some mishaps that resulted in fatalities for really dumb kids. I think it was really Darwin, you know, at work there, but they blamed it on the toys. And so by the time Boba Fett came, he wasn't going to have the rocket firing. It was, you know, solidly glued in there. But that's where all that mystique came from, and it had a little mailer in it talking about who Boba Fett was. You know, he had his introduction in the holiday special, and you'll see him upcoming in Empire Strikes Back. And yep, great memories.
I'm curious. I got the Emperor and Anakin Skywalker. This makes me curious. Was this the Anakin Skywalker from the end of Jedi when
yes
mask? Okay.
So the free mail away was the Sebastian Shaw figure. You know, it was a very similar body, you know, the hands that couldn't hold anything, and it was a molded cloak type thing, but unlike you know, later iterations that were like translucent or whatever to imply that he was a Force ghost, he was just, you know, a normal looking, you know, figure. They didn't think through making him look ghostly.
Well,
whatever.
What else was there? There was no Uncle Owen figure. I take it though.
There what? Not in the original line. No,
the original line. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what were the free ones. There was a Nine Numb. Gosh, there was also, it wasn't just action figures either. I remember there was a mail away for like these display stands with cardboard inserts behind them to do dioramas and stuff like that.
Interesting.
I don't even remember what all, but yeah, that's, I know what you're talking about.
The original Ghost Anakin, Aiden Christensen. There was a free figure mail-in for the Raiders of the Lost Ark figures. Did you know that?
Yeah, you know, Michael French on Retro Blasting did a video about that. That's the only reason I knew about it, because I didn't get any of those.
It was Belloc in the Hebrew garb, right?
Yes,
for the ceremony. That was right, which that whole scene still terrifies me. It terrified me as a child because it's basically the wrath of God, basically. For, I guess, blasphemy, that's what it seems like.
So, guys, I think you guys just got another good old days from us on mail away action figures.
We got to stop these good old days. We got to talk about the present.
Actually, we got to stop these good. This is what people are enjoying, I think, is these good old days. Because a lot of the news is just depressing.
This news doesn't depress me if it turns out to be true. If you want to paste the next one.
It'll be interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but let's talk about it.
I am on board if it's true. Because
speaking of Belloc and Raiders of the Lost Ark,
I'm on board if this is true because even if it ends up being a disaster, which I doubt it would be interesting because I'm just curious as to what he would do with this property. Meeting between this is a rumor because I'm not sure if I even believe this.
Yeah,
but it's fascinating if I'm listening to this.
It is from CBR, so
Yeah, well, yeah. A meeting between Steven Spielberg and Warner Brothers Discovery boss David Zaslav has led to online rumors of Spielberg's involvement in Man of Steel 2. After a meeting between Steven Spielberg and Warner Brothers, Discovery CEO David Zaslav fans are speculating whether the former is in talks to helm the new Superman movie. According to the Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision newsletter, Spielberg and Zaslav recently met over lunch, which eventually grew to include Christopher Nolan and DC Studios CEO Peter Safran. On Wednesday, Warner Brothers Discovery chief David Zaslav and Steven Spielberg were having lunch at Warner Brothers commissary. Not a bad power lunch, right? The newsletter reads. But then Christopher Nolan, eating nearby, comes over to hang after his lunch wrapped, and then new co-head of DC Studios Peter Safran walked in and got to meet the whole gang. If only our Mike in the Cobb salad hadn't shorted out. Very funny. Nothing official is known about what transpired at the meeting, but fans have since taken to Twitter to speculate about Spielberg's potential involvement in Man of Steel 2. The consensus among fans is that the Oscar-winning filmmaker would be a more than welcome addition to Henry Cavill's Superman sequel. A sample of fans' tweeting reactions are available below. It's not the first time Spielberg has been connected to a superhero property. In July, a rumor surfaced suggesting that Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios approached Spielberg to shepherd its upcoming Fantastic Four film. The report also said the director expressed no interest in taking on the project when contacted by the studio. Yeah, because they don't let the directors direct the movies. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that out loud. At D23 in September, Marvel announced that WandaVision's Matt Shakman will helm the film. I didn't want to know what they did with Sam Raimi for that Doctor Strange. The man did the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's absolutely
He's proven
true.
he can do things on his own. You don't have to anyway. Back at Warner Brothers, Spielberg boarded a film adaptation of DC Comics World War II title Blackhawks in 2018. Though he joined the project as a producer, Spielberg also said he would be developing the film as a directing vehicle. Jurassic Park writer David Cope was hired to write the script for the film in March. Cope shared an update on the project saying the script was finished and that they were waiting for Warner Brothers, then under new management following its merger with Discovery, to give them the green light. On Spielberg's involvement, Cope said, obviously I hope he does it, or if he doesn't direct it, I hope he produces it and someone great directs. I'll say this, a Spielberg Blackhawks movie?
Right?
I would
that
see
would
that.
Be good.
That would be very interesting.
That would be awesome.
Little else is known about the fate of Spielberg's Blackhawks, which was reportedly not connected to the DC Extended Universe, now the rebranded DC Universe, or the director's involvement with the newly formed DC Studios and Warner Brothers Discovery as a whole. That said, Blackhawks remains listed as in development under Spielberg's producer credits in IMDb. In the meantime, you know what I could say about Blackhawks? You could make it as a standalone movie, and maybe it does or doesn't take place in the DC. They haven't really.
I agree with you. I agree
maybe you
because
treat it as it does or it doesn't. You don't have
that is definitely one of those superhero movies, comic book movies, I should say, that you don't even have to think of as a comic book movie, right?
Yeah. So my dad was a huge fan of the Blackhawks comics when he was a kid. He used to tell me about them. In the meantime, Spielberg fans can look forward to the filmmaker's next effort, the semi-autobiographical The Fabelmans, which hits theaters on November 23rd. Now, I don't know how much I believe this rumor, only because they said Nolan jumped in on the meeting.
Yeah.
Is Nolan still on friendly terms with Warner Brothers? I thought
they
had
no
a blowout
idea.
after the whole situation with Tennant, and he was angry about the day and date thing.
But think about it. That was under different management. Now Zaslav is of the same mindset as him as the day and date thing. So maybe.
Because I know that they made a big deal that he's moving over to Universal Studios and they're doing that movie about Oppenheimer, right? And so I don't I don't
You
know.
just got my excitement level up, because this idea of Spielberg being involved in a Blackhawks movie, maybe if that's successful, they'll let him do The Losers too.
That would be really cool. And,
Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be awesome?
did you see the Losers movie that was made years back?
I didn't know there was one.
There was one. It wasn't bad. I almost think they weren't treating it as a comic book movie, or maybe they were. But it had I know Zoe Saldana was in it. I don't know if it was based on a more recent run of the Losers comics, maybe not the original. But I don't know. I remember not hating it. I remember there was a scene where the villain is threatening some guy, and he has his henchman holding him over the thing, and he says, and then the henchman, I think if the guy doesn't talk, he drops him off, and the guy falls to his death, and he's like, "Why did you do that? I didn't tell you to drop him. We saw to get the info from him." It was a funny little scene. But I don't know. I remember not being offended by it. I don't know how great it was, but I remember not being offended by it. But yeah, they could do a Losers movie in the period. I mean, they could.
I would love to see that. Yeah.
I'm telling you could do a lot of these DC.
Actually, you know what? There's a lot of. I mean, if we're gonna do that and do these period things detached from the superheroes, they could do like a Bat Masterson type of thing, or a good Jonah Hex. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Rosefire says, "I wonder if Jonah Hex." Well, that was a movie that was made that I heard was not that good.
It wasn't. I got it because I was going through my I want to support DC films period, but
they did but it was not good from what I heard.
No, it was not.
They had a Jonah Hex episode on Batman the Animated Series. Did you know that? You're probably wondering, how does that work?
No, I can totally get that, because
it was Ra's al Ghul recounting a story from the Old West of how he encountered Ra's al Ghul was the villain in the episode, and he had
Jonah Hex in the comics somehow ends up in the future too.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah, and it's like a Western with ray guns type of thing. Yeah.
What was she saying? I wonder if Warner Brothers is starting to smell the coffee for Marvel for once. Perhaps Zaslav is getting aware of the bright hope that people will pay for, and not for modern. We'll see.
I think we're going to get into that a little bit with the next piece that we're going to be talking about.
Let's get into that. We're going to see. I mean, I don't know how 100% hopeful I am with Zaslav. He seems better than other people. But we'll have to wait and see. The proof will be when these movies start coming out that really amaze us. Okay?
Agreed.
That's what's going to happen. But go to the next one, okay?
Yep.
You going to paste it?
Already did.
This is Black Adam, right? Unlikely to be released in China. Hollywood's two biggest superhero movies of late 2022, Disney's Black Panther Wakanda Forever and Warner Brothers' Dwayne Johnson tentpole Black Adam, are expected to be blocked from release in China as Beijing regulators continue to crack down on U.S. access to the world's second largest theatrical market. There is less online for Hollywood in China than there used to be, thanks to the country's steady tightening of censorship control and nearly 3 years of strict pandemic policies. But regulators' consistent snubbing of top-tier superhero titles is still costing the studios tens of millions in potential revenue. The first Black Panther film earned $105 million in China in 2018, while Dwayne Johnson movies such as Skyscraper, $98 million in China, and Hobbs and Shaw, $201 million, have tended to do big business in the country. Beijing regulators seldom publicly announce or explain their decisions when denying a foreign movie permission to screen in local theaters, forcing studios and local fans alike to wait, speculate, and hope. But several sources working in the Chinese industry tell the Hollywood Reporter that both Black Panther 2 and Black Adam are believed to have little chance of winning approval at this stage. Black Panther 2's denial, although tough to swallow for Disney and China's legion of superhero fans, comes as little surprise given the recent track record of Marvel movies in the Middle Kingdom. Once Hollywood's most bankable franchise in the country, by far, Avengers Endgame earning $629 million there. That's a lot of dough. Beginning with Black Widow in 2020, the last half dozen Marvel titles have failed to earn permission to screen in China. Many in the Beijing film industry have come to believe that the de facto ban on Marvel product has been instituted with no end in sight. Others have formulated detailed theories of why such movies inadvertently ran afoul of Chinese authorities. For Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings and Eternals, it was Simu Liu and Chloe Zhao's years old interview comments in which they seemed to disparage China. For Spider-Man No Way Home, it was the prominent display of the Statue of Liberty. too potent symbol of American political values. You know. Oh
well, we kind of covered a lot of this over the years. We've been talking about this, trying to serve two masters, right? And we've kind of broken down, especially on the side of Warner Brothers, whatnot. Not Warner Brothers, Disney mostly, trying to cater to both China and the U.S. And, the pixie dusters will say, well, they're trying to play the global market, blah, 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 blah. But one of the things we talked about is, yes, there is a global market, but you can't please all of the people all of the time. You can't. There's a lot of things that, for example, Japan enjoys that doesn't go over as well here. You just look at two different versions of the same movie in Japan and the U.S., and you'll see how different they are. By the same token, we had said this too about China. China wanted American films. They didn't want films made in America for China, which is why movies like Mulan just went bust, It's like, just go ahead and make your movies, and if we want to see them, we'll watch them, and you'll make money off us, and if not, well, that's the problem. They started buying into the China market and depending on it, and I was saying,
that was
as soon as you, you're absolutely right. Yeah. As soon as, and especially with the parks, the parks, guess what? They can shut down Disney anytime and say, now this is China World,
What are you going to do about it?
And you have no say in it. This is what I keep telling, the ugly Americans, right? The dumb ding-dongs that go to other countries and think they can get away with the same stuff they can here. Like, I don't know, maybe possessing some cannabis when you go to Russia and then you get arrested and you're like, oh, this isn't fair, I'm American. Yeah, it's absolutely fair. It's our laws because you're not in America, you dumbass. Well, same thing. China's like, now things are a little bit different today, and now we don't want your movies. And now a whole industry is going, oh no, what are we going to do? Well, you never should have depended on that in the first place, right? You should have made the movies for the U.S. audience, and anything you sold overseas is gravy. You decided, no, you wanted your cake all over the world, and it doesn't work that way. And we talked about that, and I predicted it, and once again, Troy is right.
Yeah, you did predict this. There's a bot in my chat.
Oh,
I should get rid of it.
Somebody got it.
What does Netter suggest? Okay.
Yep, the bots are out in force. Maybe it's because we're talking about China that we're getting bots.
Find a girl
now.
Just for me. Sorry. I want to make a point later in the story, though. It says the leading theory for Black Adam's ban is the presence in the film of Pierce Brosnan as the heroic character Kent Nelson, Dr. Fate. Roughly 2 years ago, Brosnan posted a 19-year-old photo of his family posing with the Dalai Lama while offering his congratulations to the spiritual leader on his 85th birthday. The Dalai Lama is viewed by Beijing as a dangerous separatist, and entertainment figures ranging from Lady Gaga to Richard Gere and Keanu Reeves have seen their work censored in China over past statements or gestures in support of the Tibetan leader. That's rather ridiculous.
Well, this is the problem. You can have them decide they don't want your movie for any little silly stupid thing that anyone posts on social media, because that's how it works in China. If you're going to hang your hat on China, you're going to get screwed by this exact kind of thing. Get over it. Get over it and get on with it. Now, I personally think that, this is going to hurt Black Adam, but Black Adam is still doing better as far as projection goes than Black Panther-less Wakanda Forever, because it does have the support of fans. It's definitely, and I'm predicting right now, you're going to see that it has better legs than Black Panther. I think that Black Panther had a great first weekend, and it's going to trail off. And I think by the opposite token, I think Black Adam had a mediocre opening week, but it's going to do well because of word of mouth.
Why haven't people learned about Marvel by now? I mean, I guess they had a strong opening with the Spider-Man movie like last year. Of course, that was, in a way, that was kind of a Sony production anyway. But
because people are dumb. That's why.
Is the general audience just taking forever to figure this out? I mean, I'm sorry.
It's because the general audience is the popcorn munchers that are looking for entertainment, right? And they just go because they're like, oh, it's a superhero movie. I'm sure it'll be good. And then they get there
in the title,
right? The they get there and they find out that he's been killed off by a disease of unknown origin, off camera. Those of you that enjoyed that last movie and dressed up like him and bought all the toys, well, unfortunately, boys, get over it, because now it's a girl. And we know how well girls buy action figures, right? Ask anybody from Hasbro how that works out.
They couldn't give him a hero's death, at least. He just has to die of some...
No, but he died from the coof. The Marvel version of the coof. Because they wanted to send a message.
Oh, that's so dumb. Okay, and Chris Gore was right. I mean, with all respect to Chadwick Boseman, I think they still do the respect of him, but I think they needed to recast and just have a different actor playing the Black Panther. That's what they should have done. And... obviously whoever they got replaced would probably say, tough shoes to fill as they would be. But I
honestly feel like
this other path they went was terrible.
They used the death of Chadwick Boseman as an excuse to do what they already had planned to do. They wanted to get rid of the male character and swap it for a female. Look, I'm not even... I'm looking at facts here. I'm not even talking about rumors and projections. This is clearly the MCU. Okay, it is. Look at every movie. It's clear and obvious. Okay, and they had decided they wanted to do this because if not, they would have said, "Look, the character is not the actor. His death is sad and unfortunate, and we'll dedicate the movie to him or whatever, but the show must go on." Because real professionals pull on their big boy pants and they get to work,
Troy Pacelli, true, I don't buy action figures. We girls wanted the Disney Barbie dolls, princess shampoos, and bubble wands. There's princess shampoos.
Yeah, no, exactly right.
I have a question. You know a lot about the toy community. Are there female collectors of action figures? Do you ever run into them?
There are. There are, absolutely.
Right, I was curious.
But their buying pattern, and Nanette just put her hand up.
Okay, no, I'm not saying there aren't.
But their buying patterns are different. Look, anyone who has ever taken a marketing 101 class knows you have to know your demographics. You have to know your target audience, right? And boys don't buy the same way that girls do, right? And let's face it, when it comes to the cosplaying and stuff, there's a different mentality that goes into cosplay for girls and for boys. And I know we don't like it's not politically correct to say that, but it is true. It is statistically provable. Okay? And historically, female action figures do not sell. And I'm not even necessarily saying it's not girls buying these toys. It's boys don't buy girl action figures. I'm not even necessarily saying that. What I'm saying is the toys just don't sell. Now, that's not always an absolute. I will make the example of G.I. Joe. Those female characters in the G.I. Joe line absolutely will sell just as well as the male characters. The Scarlet and the Baroness and Lady J and so forth. Those figures will sell. And I don't know for certain if it's boys or girls buying them, but I'll bet you it's boys and they're perfectly okay with it. But yeah, back in the Mego days, the Catwoman and Supergirl and Wonder Woman figures did not sell as well. In the 12-inch scales, they had to market them more like Barbie. So that's why your Linda Carter 12-inch Wonder Woman had a very different kind of play value, and her commercials were more like Barbie dolls. She had changes of clothes. Her play set changed from like the Paradise Island to her apartment with her vanity and her closet and so forth, because they were marketing it to girls. They sold pretty okay, but it's a very different market, you know.
Disney really dropped the ball. These superhero films' intended audience is for kids. Do they know how many children will be asking their parents how T'Challa, their superhero, died of the...
Yeah, this is the big thing, because if you're going to talk about representation, right? Black Panther was hugely popular in the black community for its representation. I think rightly so. He's a great character. He's a black character. All right, so you had a lot of black boys out there doing T'Challa for Halloween and dress up and whatnot and buying his toys. Well, glad you enjoyed it for one movie. Your favorite character's dead now. Can you imagine if they did that with Superman? We see one Superman movie, before there's a second one, he dies.
You recast. That's what you do.
You recast.
They do that with James Bond. They do that with other. I mean, I'm sorry.
Can you imagine if the tragedy that was the death of Christopher Reeve had happened after Superman 2, and then we got no more movies? I'm sorry, Superman's dead. The next movie is Supergirl, you know, Supergirl. Are you any relation to Superman? Yeah, he was my cousin. He died from kryptonite poisoning off screen. Yeah, that would go over real well.
Kryptonite poisoning off screen.
Yeah.
Don't give people ideas.
Yeah, right.
He died on the way back to his home planet. It's an old Simpsons joke.
Right.
But I did want to make one other point though about. I forgot what that point was. Never mind. Okay, let's move on. Oh, you know what I want to say? Mexican Iron Man.
Oh yeah.
He has an epic rant. You can find it on the Midnight's Edge channel. It's taken from Paulie of Latino Slant's channel. It is a wonderful.
Yeah.
He goes into a unbridled rage about this movie that you have to hear to believe. He was furious. And
yes, he was.
Troy has had him on the show. You don't typically see him as an angry guy, do you?
No, I have said I don't think he is a regular listener to like my channel and our shows and whatnot. But when he was on, I compared him to Big Al. I said he's like the Mexican Big Al. He's very positive, very sunny, very upbeat, very whatnot. But when he gets upset, he goes on a rant, and the F-bombs fly. And he specifically, because he had done this kind of a rant over the Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe. He said, I would rather watch the Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe 3 times rather than watch this piece of crap again. And I'm like, wow. He's like, yeah. He was not happy. Well, and a big part of that was he's a father, he's Mexican, he's a business owner, he's a man, right? And he's like, I don't like the representation I saw here. They took they decided to make the Submariner Namor
like Mesoamerican or something?
Mesoamerican, right. Okay, fine. You decided to do that. You better honor the people you're honoring with that representation. No, they cucked him. So you basically are backhanding the people you claim to be honoring with this representation. you know?
Did they have a post credit scene of Namor at a Taco Bell saying this is pretty good? Eating some Taco Bell.
I'm surprised. I am surprised they didn't have a post-credit scene of Riri Williams and the new Black Panther making out.
That'll be for the third movie, I'm sure. Anyway, let's move on with this. Let's move on to more Disney talk, huh?
Yeah, we pivot right from the DC stuff to the
to the Disney stuff, because we love Disney here on the show, don't we?
Yeah, well, not a lot of people do.
Disney ekes out slim profit on streaming losses.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, Rosefire had a question. Aren't there any Italian superheroes that you can identify with?
Oh gosh. I know that when before the MCU, a lot of the stories that ended up becoming the prototypes for the MCU were done in a comic book line called Ultimates, and it was kind of like a modern reimagining of the Avengers and whatnot. And there was this idea that every country was trying to get their own. There was a Captain Britain, and there was a Captain, all these other countries, and there was a Captain Italy, Umberto. Oh, I can't remember his last name,
okay.
but yeah, and he had like an Italian uniform that was kind of similar to a Captain America type of thing. But you know what? I know that when in the post-crisis era, they when they rebooted the whole DC universe, the Huntress, who used to be Batman's daughter with Selena Kyle, they decided to come up with a new origin to keep the character alive, if not the origin, and that was something Helena Bertinelli, so Italian. Of course, her origin being tied to organized crime, so that's the kind of representation we got. Italian mob, right? But honestly, I never. The reason I'm struggling to think of Italians was I've never paid that much attention to it. I didn't need my representation to be specifically in Italian, because if you're going to get that granular about it, it's got to be a fat, bald, middle-aged character. Come on. I don't want to see myself in these superheroes. I want to see the superheroes. Okay? I want to see Superman. I want to see Batman. I want to see whatever. I don't. I know.
I don't know if this is a generational thing or if it's.
I'll be honest. One of the things I always loved in comics, as far as representation goes, was not the main characters being the representation, but they always had a way of working in background characters that were. You never really thought too much about it, but they did represent the world around us, right? So you'd have like, what was his name? Steve Troop or whatever, who worked with Clark Kent. He was black.
Yeah.
You never thought twice about it. It's like, yeah, it makes sense that, there'd at least be some brothers were there working there, right? And, and then you'd got, as the John Byrne era came, you got more Hispanic supporting characters and whatnot.
Like Montoya and Batman. He was, I mean.
And then, you end up with, every now and again, you would have someone who had some sort of a handicap, right? Because how many handicapped people do you know? I mean, do you know a lot of people in your life that are in a wheelchair? Some, you might know one.
Yeah.
So when you see one represented in a comic, you're like, okay, yeah, that kind of looks like the world around me. Unfortunately, representation has come to mean not true representation the way the world looks, although that's what they say. It's, no, suddenly a minority group is the majority. It's just how it goes. And wow, 98% of the world is gay now, apparently.
Oh, yeah, I think they made Montoya gay in the comics.
But they had done that a long time ago. So that's the kind of thing where, because not only her, but who was the head of the special police in Metropolis? Maggie Sawyer.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to that.
Yes.
And again, that's like, okay, one supporting character.
Wasn't unusual,
Not and it kind of fits with the demographic. I dig it. The Flash had one of his rogues gallery kind of quit being a villain. The Pied Piper turned out to be gay, and they were having a conversation like just as friends, and he gets like, and like me, you never thought anything of the fact that I was gay, and he's like, you're what now? he never knew. He's like, oh, well, I never knew, but never was really important.
I could see that conversation happening. That's funny.
Right?
Troy Pacelli, you have the best superhero, Super Mario.
There you go. There you go. I don't think of him as a superhero because I think of him as a game character, but sure, I'll buy that. Super Mario. Right, because what does he do? He eats the mushroom and he can fly? Yeah.
Actually, no. To fly, he can either get the feather. Yeah, he gets a feather, I think. No, in Super Mario Brothers 3, it's a leaf and he gets the raccoon suit, and in Mario World, it's a feather and he gets the cape. That's how he.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it all came from mushrooms. I thought the whole thing was him just getting high all the time.
A lot of it was mushrooms or flowers. Anyways.
Yeah, it's all a big drug trip. He's not really doing any of that stuff. We're just watching or playing through his hallucinations.
I want to say one thing. We're getting off track here, but I do want to say one thing. In the game Yoshi's Island for the Super Nintendo, there was a level called Touch Fuzzy Get Busy. Touch Fuzzy Get Dizzy. That's what the name of the level. When you touch a special like fuzzy thing with a smiley face, Yoshi's eyes get sparkly, and the entire background shifts and distorts, and it gets harder to jump, and you realize Yoshi's high at that moment.
Oh my gosh!
And I can't believe Nintendo put that in the game.
Wow!
All right. Anyway, let's move on to Disney.
I'll drop this again because we got away from it.
Let's move on to Disney. We love Disney, right?
I tolerate them.
Let's move on. Walt Disney Company said continued heavy investment in its streaming business held its profit-making ability in check during its fiscal fourth quarter, part of the media giant's ongoing effort to reshape its operations for a world increasingly dominated by broadband-delivered media. The Burbank, California owner of the ABC television network, the Pixar Movie Studio, and Disney Plus and Hulu streaming hubs said Tuesday that the net income from the company operations was essentially flat, rising just 1% to $162 million, compared with $160 million in the earlier period. The results come after Disney saw operating costs and streaming operations of $1.5 billion, $800 million more than the year earlier quarter. The company said the loss was due to a higher loss at Disney Plus and a decrease in results at Hulu. Disney seems prepared to carry the losses in order to keep creating more streaming content. Disney CEO Bob Chapek cited a strategic decision to invest heavily in creating incredible content and rolling out the service internationally. In prepared remarks, said that the Disney expects our DTC operating losses to narrow going forward and the Disney Plus reaching profitability in fiscal 2024, assuming we do not see a meaningful shift in the economic climate. Oh, well, that's a good way to excuse it later on, isn't it? The CEO suggested that the price increases for Disney Plus will be implemented in due course and suggested a new ad-supported tier for the service would help generate revenue. I got to read the rest of this.
Disney is very behind the curve on that particular one, but because honestly, this was covered by Zasloff over at Warner Brothers. He was talking about commercial streaming and so forth. In a lot of ways, Warner Brothers is leading the business model, and Disney is way behind the curve in catching up. I did want to also front load this a little bit with when it says Disney ekes out slim profit as streaming losses grow. That's a very positive spin on a very bad situation. They're saying they got a slim profit, but I think they're gilding the lily considerably on this one. I think I'll take them at their word. They got a slim profit, but this is not how you do business. This is how you lose market share, with slim profits.
Yeah, what is the big hit on Disney Plus? What's their big hit series?
There isn't
I
one.
think for a time it was The Mandalorian. I think The Mandalorian.
What's keeping them alive is
the first 2
ESPN.
seasons.
ESPN is what's keeping Disney alive.
But that's its own channel, isn't it? It's its own.
But it's
streaming.
owned by Disney.
Okay, but
But
I
it
mean
is owned
Disney
by
Plus
Disney.
specifically, and not even Hulu. I'm not even talking about Hulu. Disney Plus specifically. What is the big hit show on there? What is the thing that everybody is amazed by and wowed by? Now I knew that there was a lot of buzz with The Mandalorian, especially during the first 2 seasons. I don't know if any of these other Star Wars shows have gotten.
But just like in all entertainment, what have you done for me lately? We haven't seen The Mandalorian in years, and everything else
going
they're putting
almost
out
on 2 years now since
Yeah.
the finale of the season 2.
And for those that are still watching, I've been hearing mixed things at best about Obi-Wan and what's the dude that dies in Rogue One?
Andor, yes.
Well, again, yeah. Most people just don't care. It's like I know the story of Obi-Wan. I know the prequels. I know what happens to him in Star Wars. What happens to him in between doesn't matter. Same thing with Andor. I know that he blows up in Rogue One. Why do I care what happens beforehand? So people are not paying for streaming service for those things. Those are things they can live without. The Mandalorian they are interested in, but it's lost all of its momentum.
All right, you want to paste the next article? I think I'm done with this one.
You're tired of this one, is what you're saying.
I'm just over it.
I know.
Here's the thing about HBO. Whatever you want to say about HBO, HBO has had hits and misses over many years, but it knows how to still make hits.
Right.
House of the Dragon. I've not been watching it myself, but apparently people like it, and it has been doing well. Okay. I don't know how well this show did, but I was a big fan of their Tokyo Vice series they had on earlier this year. So even I have stuff I will watch on HBO Max, whereas I've never been enticed by anything on Disney Plus. Granted, the buzz of The Mandalorian piqued my interest until the firing of Gina Carano, but now it's just. Maybe the Willow series will be the big outlier. Maybe by some.
It's Lucasfilm. Do you really believe that?
It would be interesting. Maybe at this point they could make something good by accident. That's all I'm trying to say.
Right? Even a blind pig finds a truffle once in a while?
Once in a while, yeah. It's funny. I was thinking the other day, especially with that Mexican Iron Man.
Yes, I just called Kathleen Kennedy a blind pig.
Let's move on. Apparently Disney is doing some other things. And I don't know. I think people are clapping their hands at Chapek over this. I could be wrong, but let me read this. Disney plans to freeze hiring and cut some jobs.
And this flows directly from what I was just saying about slim profits. You're telling me that there's profits. They're slim profits, but they're profits. Yeah. They have profits, and so they're doing a freeze in hiring, and they're cutting jobs. Okay.
November 11th from Reuters. Walt Disney Company is planning to freeze hiring and cut some jobs as it strives to move the Disney Plus streaming service to profitability against the backdrop of economic uncertainty, according to a memo seen by Reuters on Friday. Chief Executive Bob Chapek sent the memo to Disney leaders, stating that the company is instituting a targeting hiring freeze and anticipates some small staff reduction as it looks to manage costs. While certain macroeconomic factors are out of our control, meeting these goals requires all of us continue doing our part to manage the things we can control, most notably our costs, Chapek wrote in a memo. The move came after Disney missed Wall Street estimates for quarterly earnings on Tuesday as the entertainment giant racked up more losses from its push into streaming video, which it refers to as its direct-to-consumer business. Shares of the company fell more than 30% on Wednesday following its results. Disney has been a fast-growing service, added 12 million subscribers in its fiscal fourth quarter, but reported an operating loss of nearly $1.5 billion. The company said Disney Plus would become profitable in fiscal 2024, with losses having peaked in that quarter. Okay, I'm trying to translate all of this. They're increasing their viewers, but those viewers aren't enough to offset the cost of the production of the media for the channel. Is that right?
Partly.
That what
Well,
I'm getting from this?
I'm going to say, actually, let me take back what I just said. Yes, what you're saying is correct, but that's another gilding of the lily. This goes back to what we've been saying here, and other channels have been saying for quite some time. Going back to that previous article, they say they're profitable, but they're playing fast and loose with the numbers. And they say, look at all these viewers we have, without saying, but this many of those viewers are actually free with other services, and they're not giving us a bottom line number. So
buy this cell phone plan, get a free subscription to Disney Plus.
Exactly.
Like that,
Exactly. And that is meaningless to an investor. An investor wants to know, are your shows good? Are people watching them? And if I advertise on your channel, will my adverts be seen? Well, sure. Look at all of our subscribers. But are they actually watching? Are they actually putting in money because they want to see these shows? Or did you just give it to them and they may not even be aware that they have this subscription?
That's true. Like they're, I'm subscribed to Disney Plus. I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
They count that. Okay. I have a question though. What are they cutting the cost from? Because it looks like they're wanting to double down on Disney Plus, so they're not going to cut the cost there, are they?
Sure, they are. They're going to.
Okay. Are they going to cut from the places that are showing profits? We
have been saying for a long time they have to start getting more fiscally responsible in how they make these shows. You can't have these big budget shows that costs so much because of these high production values, these special effects and so forth, and continue to run at a deficit on them. Okay. And what's even worse, when you're spending all that kind of money, but the show still looks like shit, because all the money went into doing 5, 6, 7 different endings because your people don't know how to write and are completely out of touch with your viewership.
You talking about She-Hulk?
I didn't say it. I didn't actually say She-Hulk. But yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Come on, that was a wonderful special effect, the She-Hulk character on that show. Every clip I've seen of that show, I do a double take because it looks off. It looks like a cartoon character, like a Roger Rabbit sort of thing, instead of like something. That's
and for all of the adult humor that they had, and the making Daredevil do the walk of shame and everything, they got so up in there. I don't need no man, woman power bull crap. They could have really sold the whole, big, tall woman, really hot looking, male gazy type stuff. And they would have been making profit over profit. They didn't do that. They've made it very clear. We don't like men. We don't want men watching this show. And I guess men didn't watch the show.
Disney, while going broke is going woke. They are seeking the ESG to show they are willing to play ball for corporate takeover, although they can take a look at how well that worked for Warner Brothers.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
But here a lot of people got Disney Plus free itself. So I think a lot of people get a lot of these plans through. I mean, not all these subscribers these channels are getting. Don't know what Drop Dead Diva is, but I'll have to look for that. All right, so where are we now? So 11,000 jobs. They're making a point that a lot of companies are doing this. Apparently, the Meta platform are cut a ton of jobs, 11,000 jobs.
Well, that's kind of a whole different business model, but you can compare it to what happened to MySpace when Facebook came along, right? It was a different service. It got popular. It's kind of like the difference between VHS and beta, right? You could argue that beta was actually a better actual technology and product than VHS. Doesn't matter. There's other things that go into it. There's marketing. There's business, partnerships and stuff that lead to an ease of access to a product and so forth. And that's what ends up happening. And, Facebook is been making a lot of missteps, pushing people away, and people are starting to go to other places. Do you know right now what the most popular, most used social media platform is?
No.
Take a guess.
Popular and used social media platform is Twitter? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Nope, close.
What?
I'll give you one more guess. Where are we right now?
Oh, we're on YouTube.
Yep. YouTube is number one. Twitter is... I'm not sure if it's Twitter or TikTok is second. But YouTube is number one. And so Facebook is starting to... And we don't even have an article about this. I don't know why I'm going off on this tangent. Facebook is trying to push videos and stuff, but they're very clunky in the way that video... It's not a video platform. And they're trying to retool and rejigger, and they're so far behind the curve. It's probably too little, too late. There's other problems that I have with Facebook, but no need to get into that right now.
JPEG said business travel would be limited and trips would require advance approval or conducted virtually as much as possible. Okay, so no more fancy business trips. Our transformation is designed to ensure that we thrive not just today, but well into the future, JPEG wrote. Yeah. And he says the cuts will not sacrifice quality, but they're looking at content and marketing spending.
If JPEG was a better leader, then I would say maybe he's right. Because then you go and you grab a showrunner by the lapels and go, look, I am cutting your budget to 1/8 of what it was. I can't make the show for 1/8. Really? Because you made 8 damn endings for this show. Cut 7 of them and you'll be doing just fine. If you can't do it, you're out and I'll bring someone else in that can. That's not the kind of leader Chapek is, though. He's made that abundantly frickin' clear by now. You know who is, though? Zaslav. Zaslav is doing that kind of crap over at Warner Brothers. Just saying.
Zootopia says Disney bought Marvel and Star Wars to appeal to teenage boys, but they turned them into properties that tries to make more Disney princesses. Their strategies are completely wrong. I'm sorry, I don't see the whole gender thing. I don't know what you're talking about.
But you know what? Zootopia is totally onto something because they had the girls with their Disney princesses. They had them. They were on top of the world.
Whoever's running Disney does not like the Disney princesses anymore. Let's be blunt here.
Apparently, the people running Disney don't like making fucking money. Seriously, because that is how you get to the place that we're at. Look, you could... The lefty losers were, oh yeah, get woke, go broke. That's a fallacy. Bullshit. Here's the evidence. It's happening in real time. They are going broke. Disney is not too big to fail. Pixie dusters who keep saying that. We see it dying in front of our eyes.
There was a villain in the James Bond movie who kept saying, I'm invincible, like this hacker guy, right? And then some nitroglycerin spills and goes all over him, and he basically turns to ice and dies.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a funny moment.
It's absolutely obvious what's going on. Yeah, are you not hearing me?
You're roboting a bit, but that's okay. Just post the next article. I'll start reading it.
Okay.
Right? It may be on my end anyway. Okay. All right. I'm excited. We excited about the Rings of Power. I'm telling you. Okay. New report suggests that viewership from Amazon Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power have steadily declined with each new episode. This thing's getting 5 seasons whether you like it or not.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. That is true. It's all... for whatever stupid-ass business reason, it's already been paid for. So, yeah, they're going to keep making it.
By season 4, there'll be sock puppets in place of orcs or something, right? I'm kidding. Okay, new reports show New reports show that the viewership for Amazon Prime videos, The Lord of the Rings of Power, contracted every week during its inaugural 8-episode run, according to an analysis from Variety. Nielsen reports indicate that the show earned 1% fewer minutes streamed every consecutive week, with comparatively few viewers from starting the show in the weeks after it premiered. The show also seemed to have a largest drop-off after its 2 weeks, which showed a decline of around 20%. This suggests that a good amount of viewers who streamed the Rings of Power early on gave up on it pretty soon afterwards. While Nielsen's metrics only measure U.S. viewership connected to televisions, excluding viewers streaming on other types of devices, the visible downward trend is notable in the trade's analysis, which sees it as problematic for the show's future growth. Yet, the Rings of Power is still making a victory of its impressive early viewership numbers. According to Amazon, the Lord of the Rings prequel series saw an impressive 25 million viewers in the first 24 hours after its premiere. These numbers made it Prime Video's most watched series premiere to date. However, the show also saw a spike in demand following its October 14th series finale. According to Para Analytics, there was an impressive 55.7 times increase in viewership, which was an all-time high viewership number for Season 1 of the show. Those numbers may bode well for Season 2 of Lord of the Rings of Power, which has officially begun filming outside London, England. The show's executive producer, Lindsay Weber, already teased that the show's creators have some epic things in store for new episodes, saying it's going to be grittier, more intense, maybe a little scarier, now that Sauron's true identity is finally out in the open.
Let me translate for everyone. Okay, first again, keep in mind, you know what the source is. This is CBR. They're always running interference for the for the woke properties, and so they will put as positive a spin on it as possible. Okay, so what are the positive points here? Hey, you know, they deserve credit for how good they did in their first premiere episode. No, they don't. You expect that from fans of Lord of the Rings that were fans of Peter Jackson and everything that went before, fans of the books, people that are excited about Tolkien, right? When it starts dropping off, that means you have incompetent dumbasses in charge, and they deserve zero credit. They took the goodwill that they got through no ability of their own and squandered it.
Well, maybe they can get it back.
Well, like I said, it is paid for, so they're going to keep making stuff. But as we were talking about with the earnings call from Warner Brothers, there is going to be a trend led by Warner Brothers to start moving streaming services to lower tier ad-based services, and people are going to there's going to have to be some sort of method by which viewership is accounted for. And if people aren't watching your show, they're not going to invest in your channel. And Amazon is going to start caring when people go, you know what? I'm going to just go and put my money into Warner Brothers because they've got shows that people are watching. And, oh, you're offering an ad tier? That's great. No, I'm not interested. Thank you. I've seen your numbers for Rings of Power.
You're done.
Yeah.
Alan Cumming Goldeneye, when he said, I'm invincible, then he got frozen. Yeah. I said, now you're a coat rack. That's funny. Never declare yourself invincible. Well, Disney is not invincible. None of these companies are invincible. And one thing that I've heard people spout, they'll get bailouts. And I'm thinking, no. There's no evidence they're going to get big government bailouts. I don't know where people grab that from, but I don't know.
Well, it's a very different economy. There was a time when they were doing bailouts. That is not happening anymore. Yeah.
Carrie Cassell premiered 2 episodes, claimed 25.
I mean, you're not a money laundering country, you know, in the Eastern Europe, you know, so you're not getting a bailout.
Welcome to the stream, Corey Cassell. Premiered 2 episodes, claimed 25 million viewership, divided 120 minutes by 25 million by minutes viewed. It doesn't equal 2.25 million screens. Didn't touch the entire Didn't watch the entire
first two episodes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all creative BS. Final story of the night.
Yeah, I didn't know what to
You did
make
a head
of this.
scratch. You said, "Why are we doing this?" But we're gonna.
Well, no, but at the same time, I also was like, yeah, sure, why not?
You're doing it. Andy Dick. What are you familiar with Andy Dick?
I am very aware of Andy Dick, yeah. I used to watch news radio and whatnot.
News radio. Who was he on? He was on some show. Was it the Ben Stiller show, or maybe it was some other? I don't know. Andy Dick. Apparently he stole some stuff. Let's get into it. Andy Dick is facing a felony burglary charge in California after getting arrested yet again. This time, cops said he was stealing power tools from someone's garage. The Santa Barbara Police Department tells TMZ officers busted Andy on October 13th after responding to a report of a burglary in progress at a home. Andy had removed several power tools from a home under construction, according to cops, and they say they caught him red-handed trying to flee the property. The homeowner told the police they don't know Andy, and he definitely didn't have permission to be there. Since then, the Santa Barbara County DA has charged Andy with first-degree residential burglary, and he's pled not guilty. However, 1 week later, he's still locked up. Interestingly enough, Dick posted a video from inside an abandoned house just last week, so it's possible it's the same one he was busted inside. We're told he is in the Santa Barbara County Jail waiting for someone to bond him out. His bail was set for $50,000. It's the second arrest for Andy in the last 6 months. As we first told you, he was busted in May and accused of sexual battery, and the arrest was live streamed. Andy's lawyer, Brian Mathis, tells TMZ a public defender is repping Andy in the Santa Barbara case, and they are confident additional facts will come to light supporting Mr. Dick as this case moves forward. Any thoughts?
Yes, gratitude to Deleted Scenes for getting the another porn bot.
What is with this?
Well, you're just that popular. Either that or you attract porn. I don't know, but no. I think I actually do believe it was because we were talking about China earlier on. But no, I am grateful to Deleted Scenes for all he does for us. He really is an awesome blue wrench.
Find love in your town today, not unless it's over 70. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm in my area. Okay.
There is a lot of this kind of story out there on Andy Dick. He's had some issues, and very, very strange. He definitely needs help. Not sure if. I think there might have been some foreign substances involved at various times, but he's definitely got some personal issues, and I feel for the guy. But this is strange stuff, you know. I mean, this is strange.
Pornbots heard something about Andy Dick.
Andy Dick, yeah.
It's funny. You should talk about Dick Grayson on one of your streams on Friday.
One of the Weird Al videos that I wanted to do was word crimes. And if you've ever seen the video for word crimes, it ends with Weird Al Yankovic has a really big dictionary. But I want to dedicate a later video to that, so we'll focus on that one a little bit more.
What do you have going on this week?
I feel like I totally wasted last week. I had a lot of personal stuff going on and stuff for other channels and whatnot that ate up all of my time. So this week I have got to buckle down and get some videos done before my big one on Friday for Life Day. I've got at least 2, maybe 3 cooking videos. I will announce them and promote them on my channel, but they will be appearing on my alternate channel, Kartan the Klingon Cleric. They are cooking videos related to Wookiee Life Day, with recipes coming directly from the Star Wars Life Day cookbook.
Well, that's fine, but we were supposed to do a Mr. Belvedere retrospective stream on Tuesday, and you're supposed to have the whole first season watched by then. I hope we're still doing that.
No, we're not.
Oh, fine. See if I ever help you in the future. I'm sorry, you're going to hit me now through the screen. Okay.
Well, we just might live the good life yet.
Okay.
But yeah. So I've got that.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a bunch of toy videos that I want to get done, but I haven't even filmed the footage for those yet. So I'm going to try every night this week, as soon as I get off work, to get something done for a video. But I'm not making any promises, but yeah, watch for some content coming up real soon. I got some great feedback from my not only from that toy video that I did, the parody commercial, but also from a little promotional video that I did for Friday. I'll have another promotional video probably for it coming up this week. Yeah.
No, so that's cool.
So yeah, I got a lot going on, pretty much.
But we're gonna do the holiday special, the Star Wars holiday special on Friday.
Yep. I was talking to Big Al last night, and he was saying that he's not certain that there's anything coming from Birdman on Monday and Wednesday. Do you know anything about that?
We're not sure yet. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think he had a bit of an emergency, but keep an eye on his channel. You never know. We may have something.
And we also don't really have anything on Tuesday, right?
No, nothing this week Tuesday, and in fact, I don't think we're gonna do anything on Tuesday till like at least another 3 weeks, maybe longer, because Matt's going to do something else on his channel the following Tuesday. But we'll still promote you.
David Pensack is like Barnabas in the Bible. He is an encourager. He really is. Thanks so much, David. He's expecting good things from you. No pressure.
Will be with us on the stream on Friday.
Well, no certainty, but of course it'll be you and me and Netter. Poor Netter. This is how much she loves me. She's willing to go through the Star Wars holiday special every year.
This is why she needs to imbibe on Friday. Maybe I will do as well. We'll see.
Our favorite Blue Wrench deleted scenes.
Okay.
And if he's able to, and he won't be able to confirm until later in the week, fan scene will be returning.
Cool.
For
Are you going to have a Cosme link for this as well?
I will. Well, I'm debating on that. I can.
Will it be the version on YouTube, or will you have a Cosme link?
I was going to say there will be a YouTube version of this one.
Fine.
I've decided that what I want to do is we did last year. We did the Thank the Maker cut, which is the best cut out there, but I think this year we'll do like a happy medium, a slightly truncated fan edit of the original. It pulls out, but it's on you, or it was last I looked.
Okay.
So one way or another, you'll be able to watch along with us, whether it's through a YouTube link or through a Cosme link. I will set everybody up.
That's cool.
You can suffer along with us as we watch the holiday special.
They better not cut out the some of the that Jefferson Starship thing. That's pretty.
Yeah, I like that song. I don't know how I feel about watching the lead singer singing into a marital aid, but Diane Carroll as Wookiee adult entertainment. I'm not sure, but yeah, it does trim a lot of that out, so it's a little bit more watchable.
Looking forward to it.
But that's what we got coming up on Friday. Now, Big Al. Friends of the community and whatnot, you make sure that you are subscribed to Big Al, because his rewatch on Saturday is going to be the Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, Tim Curry legend, but specifically the version with the soundtrack Tangerine Dream on Saturday. And he will be doing a watch of the other version, the one with I'm forgetting who did the soundtrack for it.
I don't know.
Did a lot of Star Trek.
Birdman.
Birdman was
James Horner.
No, the other one.
Jerry Goldsmith.
Goldsmith, right?
Yes.
Goldsmith on Friday, and that is supposed to be with Birdman, assuming that he's recovered. So
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So that'll be on Friday, in theory, before the holiday special. So you can watch. You can have a palate cleanser. You can watch. The Goldsmith soundtrack Legend. But maybe finish it off with a few drinks and then come on over and watch the holiday special.
Be there or be square.
Or maybe be there or be smart. Maybe.
Okay.
Depending on how you look at it.
It will be incredible. It's Star Wars 4.5. That's how you need to look at it.
Kinda. Yeah.
All
That's
right,
kinda
y'all.
true.
Y'all have a good week, and we will see you next time.
Take care, everyone.